Let's go over some nail art techniques that you can use with your liner brushes to help practice and perfect your hand painting nail art. So when you begin painting with nail art brushes, you want to work on three main things. Your pull is the first one. You have to learn how to pull the brush and not push it across the nail. This is going to give you more fluid-like lines. The next is going to be your position. Most techs tend to hold their brush wrong when doing nail art. The brush should be held straight for something like lettering so that only the tip touches the nail. We only want the very tip of the nail art brush to kind of come in contact with the nail. Remember, the belly is where most of the paint is going to be held. So we don't want to put the whole entire bristle, the whole brush on top of the nail. But then we're going to hold our brush flat for something that's going to be like stripes. We want to hold our brush very flat for creating stripes, but for lettering, I'm going to hold it straight up and down again. And then lastly is going to be your pressure. So this is going to be the amount of force that you're going to be applying when you're doing any type of strokes. This is how we're able to move in from a flat line that ends very swiftly. We press down to create fat lines or large lines and release that pressure to kind of feather off or to just end the line. So once you practice some of these techniques and start to realize your pressure, your pull, and the position of your brush, I'm sure you're going to get better so that you can start achieving these certain looks. So before I go, I just wanted to give you a couple of practice techniques that I do with some of my students and helping them kind of get familiar with nail art brushes that can overall help in any type of nail art designs. So let's go over some techniques that we can begin to practice when doing nail art. So the first thing I always like to do is I like to just make sure that I loosen up the bristles on my brush. I dip it in a little bit of acetone just to kind of bring everything together. So the first one we're going to talk about is called a comma. It's very much like a stroke line. So with this technique, you want to practice your position, pull, and pressure. So what we're going to do is press down so that we have a lot of paint. And then we're just going to kind of let it flow off. So we're going to go down and release it to be thin. So we want to practice that pressure of pressing down and releasing. So once you can master this, we can start to do all types of lines and such. It's all about controlling your pressure. I have a lot of pressure as I'm holding it down, and I'm releasing and letting it go to create this kind of fat line that ends up getting a little bit smaller. The next one is called a C stroke. So this helps with controlling your pressure. So again, I have more of a flat edge brush here, and I'm going to just kind of loosen up those bristles, tap all that acetone out, and dip it in my paint. When I dip it in my paint also, don't even judge the way this looks, but this is a mess. I like to make sure I fill my brush, but then I wipe all of that off. And actually, even with a liner brush, I'm only going to dip in the tip. I don't want a whole glob of paint all over my whole brush. I just want very little. So as I'm working, I dip so little, sometimes I can dip out of the cap. That's how little. You don't want to keep dunking it every single time. So a C stroke is going to start off, you're going to hold your brush straight and always rest your hand when doing any type of nail art. Even if I'm holding a client's finger, I'm going to hold it like this. Or if I'm practicing, I don't want to, the first thing with nail art is you don't want to kind of be unstable. You want to always make sure that you're stable. So I'm going to dip my paint in again. I'm just going to tap the top of it, still dab some of it off. I'm going to take my brush kind of like at an angle, and I'm going to start off with a little line, and then I'm going to press it and kind of release it. So we're practicing kind of doing, and see, I think I have a little too much paint on my brush. We're going to, again, start it, press down, and kind of release it. So you're kind of creating little C's, or you can actually even go a little bit bigger so it could really come out. You might have to pick it back up and kind of create that C. So you want to practice doing kind of a fat line in the middle and a little edge. The next one is called S. This helps with your pressure and the pull of the brush. So it's just simply that. We're going to create an S. So I have to place my brush down, kind of release. So it's just a little squiggly line that looks like an S, but it's helping control the way that you are holding your brush. Again, in a perfect world, sometimes you have to go back over things, but at the end of the day, we want to create like a little bit of a squiggly line and an S. And releasing. It's always important to kind of like flick off. If I have like a base coat or top coat underneath this, it would have been smoother, but I have like a raw nail right here. But this is basically the gist of it. It's just creating an S and practicing that technique. And now we have what we call a teardrop. So the teardrop is going to be basically putting a lot of pressure here to create a nice fat end and just releasing up. So again, so something like this, I'm going to dunk my brush in, try to collect a lot, but not so much. So this is about how much I have on my brush. And I want to press down. I want to get all that pressure, and I'm just going to release. So press down, and then you can even drag it a little bit if you wanted to make it a little bit longer. So pressing down and release up. So this is going to be your teardrop shape. So mastering nail art could be very tricky, and I'm not gonna lie, it does take some time and it definitely takes practice, but keep practicing these simple basic techniques, and I promise you that you will get better at it. So don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and do not forget to tune in every day this month as I'm posting for Vlogmas, nail tips, tricks, tutorials, and all that good stuff. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.